Hi, this is Numeric Citizen here. In today's video, I want to explore dashboard using Craft. As you probably know, dashboards are very popular in Notion, and I was wondering if we can build something close to that in Craft. And for an example, I'll be showing you a peek at my personal creator dashboard. So let's get started. But before going further, let's read a definition of what are dashboards. A dashboard is a central hub for multiple functions and areas in your workspace. It may have things like a to-do list, a project list, a quick notes function, a habit tracker, and a digital library. It's designed to give you quick access to your most important information and the pages you use the most. Designing a dashboard tailored to your needs will streamline and improve your workflows. So this is a definition I found on the web, and I thought it was pretty close to what actually most of the dashboard that we are seeing in Notion are built around. And as you can see, I kind of dashed the Notion here because, in fact, a dashboard is meant to be either in Notion or any other application that support that type of content. So yeah, dashboard can be done in Craft. When I first started thinking of creating a dashboard using Craft, I had three goals in mind. The first one was that the dashboard would act as a starting point for a day of creative work. The second goal was that the dashboard should help me be more efficient in my way of doing creative work. And the third goal was to take advantage of all the possibilities and functions that are available within Craft. So with those three goals in mind, I would try to design a dashboard that would be useful, beautiful, and make me more efficient. My dashboard is not using Craft checklist or to-do list. I'm not using the dashboard also to store notes. And also, don't look at my dashboard as a digital garden because it is not. And think of it as a powerful launcher or shortcuts to start or open something else. It is private, of course, so I don't share my dashboard to anyone except in this video. And it is evolving all the time, either from a design perspective or in the content of the dashboard itself. So this is what my dashboard is all about. My dashboard is using key ingredients that I will cover in this portion. The first thing is that I'm using links quite a lot, and there are many different type of links that I'm using to do things within from my dashboard. The first thing is that I'm using Hookmark, which is a Mac utility that is very hard to explain, but it helps me create links from one application to another. And the way it looks, it's like this. There is the first portion, it looks like a HTTPS semicolon and forward slash for forward slash. And then it locates an object, and this is the specific objects that I'm trying to locate that Bookmark will locate for me. In this case, this link is actually launching an app, which is the Bear app. There's also URL schemes that I'm using in order to launch an application and ask this application to do something special. The first one is for things. This is a to-do manager. And this URL thing will say start things and show me this object here. The other type of URL scheme that I'm using is the one that Craft provides, which is in this case, I want to do a search in this specific space using a specific query. You'll see how it works later. And also there is a deep link, which asks Craft to open a block within a space and locate that block in the document. I'm also using a header image for decoration of the dashboard itself. It depends on the table of content feature of Craft, and it is pretty very important because it helps me navigate within my dashboard very quickly. The table, I'm using also Craft table for formatting some content in a specific way. And I'm using a few pages to do some presentation tweak that I'll show you later. I'm also using toggles because I like to hide some content within a specific header. And when I need to access this content, I'm just expanding the toggle and it will help me to show the actual content. And also, I'm taking advantage of the Craft share sheet to add some content to the dashboard when I'm like browsing the web from my iPhone or from a Mac. So that are those are the ingredients that are making help me make this dashboard that you're going to see. I'm also taking advantage of other key formatting attributes of Craft. The first thing is that I'm using a narrow page format because I prefer that format instead of using the wider format. It's only because there is not a lot of text within the page, so this is why I'm using the narrow page. I'm also using a lot of page breaks because they're nice and they are making the content of the dashboard modular. And I'm also using section headers for each after each page break so that I can identify exactly what the section is all about. And also I'm using the title, subtitle, and header depending on where I am within the document. So without further ado, let's see how it looks. Now you're seeing the top portion of the creator dashboard. The first thing I want to point out is that in order to make this document easily accessible, I created a folder here on my left sidebar, which is called the pinned docs, and I put the dashboard within this folder. As you know, there is no way for now to create pin document and to show them in the top view of the home um, place here. So I decided to kind of create or simulate this thing by using a manual process. So there is the header image here that I created using DALL-E from OpenAI. And the top portion here is containing some different information like current weather. When I'm starting the day, I'm using a Apple shortcut to generate this string and I pasted it here. And this portion here is also the date of the last update of my dashboard. And then there's this block here. If I select it, and I'll show you that it is formatted as a block. And this block is used for a very easy way for me to launch an app. So I can launch Bear. I'm just using a bookmark build using Hookmark. So I click on that and it will launch the application and it should show me the main window here like that. I'll come back to craft. I can do the same thing with things, which brings me to the 2D view of things. And also I can open Zavala, which is an outliner. There is a link in my video description where you can look at a video about this app, which is pretty cool. So I click on that and I'll be in this app pretty easily. So it's kind of a app launcher, this portion. I'll come back to this block here later. The other section here is related to a kind of a daily routine or weekly routine that I'm trying to follow as much as possible. So the first portion here is a page that I have created. And the reason for that is because I want to have this little caption at the bottom of the top portion here that says what this section is all about. So in this case, it is a list of things planned for today. So if I click on that, it will open things to a very specific object, which is a folder. And this is the today folder. It's pretty easy to generate those link. I'll show that later in the video. I have also the same here, something similar, but the ID is different. So I click on that, it will point me to the planning node within the things application. If I come back, and also I have the current week of things that has been accomplished, which actually is the logbook of the things to the management application. So this is the first portion. If I click on the page here, you'll see that there is a header image. I first put that image because I thought that it would create a great look on the node here, but we're not very, it's pretty hard to see actually what the image is. And this is where I have this line, the first line of the node here so that I can see that in my top view. I can do the same here if I click on that, and I'll add a point at the end. So that's for the first portion. The other portion is I should try to read as much as possible every day. So this is the step two portion of the daily routine. If I click on that, it will open me to the iKnowReader homepage. If I click on this one, it will bring me to the Omnivore homepage. And also, otherwise, I'll click on that to go to the YouTube webpage. And then as a step three, this is a few activities that I want to do each morning as often as possible, actually. The first one is to create a now post, which are kind of posts that are containing into the moment thoughts. And I write that and publish those on Scribble's blog hosting service, which is pretty cool, by the way. I'm trying to follow all those tasks every day. And if I'm following that on Sunday, then I'll create and share my weekly creative summary. And so this concludes the daily and weekly routine section. Next in the dashboard, if I switch to the table of content view, I'm currently using at uh, this section here, the daily and weekly routines. If I want to go directly to the read and watch, this is this block here. And I can go there, right there, and be creative. And craft will scroll up a little bit the page so that it's kind of in the middle in this case. So there's another section that I call Be Creative. This is where I kind of maintain a list of writing projects and the things that I want to write as often as possible in these projects so that I can eventually share them with the world. And also I have a little section or subsection here, which is a different block that contains craft documents that I need to keep up to date as the year move on. And at the end, there's a section for photography because you probably already know I love doing photography and I kind of have reminders to go out and take photos. And also the other one is kind of a reminder if I have any uploaded videos photos that I should process. So that's for the Be Creative section. And the nice thing about Craft is that if I hover the mouse over this link here, it will show me a preview of the document and all the document within the craft, which are deep links. They will show me exactly the document itself. So that's pretty cool. And when I'm done with the document where the content has been shared or published, I'll come over here and I'll delete this block to remove it from the current writing projects. So that's for the Be Creative section. The next section is my tags index. So if I click in the table of content here, click on that, it will scroll up to the actual section. And this is a table where I did create a deep link to the individual tag document. And I'll share a link to my YouTube video explaining what is my tagging system in Craft. So if I click on the this link here, it will bring me to the tag page, and this is all the backlinks that are referring to this tag page. So for me, it's very easy to locate a document that I especially tag with this Apple tag. So if I come back here, so this is for the tag index. The next section is the recently published content. So I click on this one here. So this is a list of all a book of bookmarks of articles that I recently published. And the reason I'm keeping this list in this dashboard is that sometimes I'll be on microblog and I want to refer someone to a recently published article, and I'll go in this dashboard, copy this link, and then paste that in the post that I'm currently writing in microblog. So it's pretty handy. And this list obviously is changing all the time because as time move on, I will remove older links from the list here. When I'm sharing content of previously published content, I'll sometimes use a document where I do store a few text tidbits where I'm simply copy the text and paste that in the post that I'm currently writing, and I'll change a few elements within this post, but this is stored in this for content promotion section. Next up is the list of documents that I'm sharing. This is the done in Craft. So those document here, for example, this is my About Numeric Citizen page. This page is shared with the world, and I need to keep that content updated. So if I come back here, this is where I'm keeping the list of the last update that I have done on this specific document. So this is the About Numeric Citizen, the famous Graph Bible that I'm maintaining, a list of my subscription, the index of all my my weekly creative summary, and also pages where I'm kind of writing from time to time what I'm learning or a few thoughts that I'm having. So I'm be writing those that are referred from within the About Numeric Citizen. So this is the kind of a way for me to keep the content fresh in my publishing ecosystem. The next three sections are more or less quick access lists of different things. So the first thing here is the quick access to my online websites. Um, I do have a few of them, so I keep a link to those right here. Also, I do have the quick access to my analytics. I'm using Plausible and TinyAnalytics, so I like to be able to quickly open those sites from this dashboard. There's also a list of keyboard shortcuts that I started to build. The problem I have is that I tend to forget about those shortcuts, so I did decide to write those down and build this table right there within this toggle. So it's pretty nice. And also I have a list of all the communities where I'm being part of. So the microblog, the Reddit. I'm also on SoundCloud and if obviously on YouTube. So that's the link. Sometimes I'll copy a link from that and post that on a reply to someone who is asking me where can I find your video. So I come back here, copy the link, and then I'll paste that in the post. And the last portion of the dashboard is the capture area. So let's say I'm browsing a website from within on my iPhone. I want to keep track of that because I'm going to use that link somewhere. So what I'll do is I'll use the Craft share sheet and I'll share the link within this document, and they will happen at the end of this document. This is a transit space. Usually those links won't stay there for long, and then I'll take those and I'll copy that elsewhere for use. So this is a nice way of using the share sheet of Craft. It's not a web clipper exactly, but it is something that can be pretty useful. And lastly, the thing that I find very useful in Craft is the use of the table of content, because you can move from one section to another one very quickly, and it's very nice to have those previews that comes as a pop-up window. And also there's this attachment view where I have all the links that I'm using within this document. And at the very end, there's this first link that is in the capture area that I can click on that very easily and then use that as needed. So it's very nice to be able to use the table of content on the Mac. I'm very happy with this addition that has been added a few months ago. Now, let's say that I want to add a link to a folder containing photos that I want to share from time to time on PixelFed or on Glass. Um, I could add a link to a folder right within this section here. Let's say I'm adding that right now. I'll use that here. Share one photo from this folder. Um, what if I would click on the word folder here, and it would open up the folder on my desktop, which is the to share on PixelFed, their folder right there. So one way to do that is to use Hookmark. If I go in the menu bar here, I click on the Hookmark item here, and I have a link, a possible link that I can create for this specific object in the folder. So I click on that, and I'll copy this as a Markdown link. I'll come back into um, Craft, and I'll paste that right there like this. So now if I click on that, it should open up my folder containing photos that I plan to share in the upcoming days. So it's pretty easy to use Hookmark to build those links within the dashboard. Now, finally, let's say I want to add a link from in my dashboard that would open a specific node within things 3. So it's very easy. So let's say here I have this word that will become a hyperlink that will open up things. So for that, I need to switch back to things. I'll show up the window. And this node here, I can right click on it, click share, and then from there, I can click the copy link, come back to things, to craft, and click on that, paste, and then you see there's the things keyword here, followed by the specific object that I want to open within things. So if I click on that to make sure that it works, let's say I'm going on this node here, come back here. If I click on that, it will directly select the node on the left, and I'll be able to show to see all the tasks regarding podcasting. So it's very easy to set up, and it's the same thing that you can do using Zavala, because Zavala also support copying object links that points to the specific document within Zavala. So it's very simple to do. That's it for the peek of my creator dashboard. I hope that this video gave you some ideas for creating your own dashboard in Craft. If you are coming from Notion, you'll see that Craft is not as powerful as Notion. There is no databases, and so it may look limited, but I think that you can achieve something quite useful for your needs, depending of what are your workflows. For me at least, it does fill a void and help me to be more efficient. So that's it for today's video. I hope that you learned something along the way. If you want to be notified of any upcoming videos, I encourage you to subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you don't miss any upcoming videos. Thanks for watching until the very end, and thank you for being there, and see you guys for another one soon. Bye.